Wednesday. Larry, sorry to get you up so early. Thanks for being here.
Well, I'm glad to be here with you, and this is a big deal to the city of Detroit, no question about that.
I'm entirely baffled by all of it, and so take a step back and explain to me, why would you wait until after the trade deadline to fire Dave Dombrowski, and did he know it was coming, and was he going to leave at the end of the season anyway?
Well, with his contract being up at the end of the season and not having been renewed yet, that kind of leads you to believe that there were question marks to me in Dave Dombrowski's mind as much as anything. And so I think a lot of it was on his part. If you have to speculate, and that's really all we're doing, you would have to think that there was some kind of an incident, something that happened that prompted somebody to say, maybe this isn't going to work out going forward. Whether that's a power shift in the Ilitch camp from Mr. Ilitch to Chris taking over the reins a little bit more, which he has been doing, that's a possibility. There's all kinds of possibilities. But to have it happen that abruptly is very strange. Maybe Dave just started looking at other situations. And, Michael, what's very interesting to me is reading the papers this morning around the country, there's a half a dozen places that are saying, here's the guy we need.
Of course.
And he's not going to be out of work very long.
Speaking of that, Lynn Henning is writing in the Detroit News this morning that Dave Dombrowski wanted to be the commissioner of baseball, and that he didn't get that gig, and that it was pretty obvious to Mr. Ilitch that he wanted that job, and that maybe that contributed to his, falling out of favor.
Well, there's all kinds of areas that he can do. I think he would have been a terrific commissioner because he's got a real passion for the game itself, which is what you have to do to put up with everything you put up with as the commissioner. You've got to look out for the best interest of the game. But he had a tremendously successful run in Detroit, and I don't think there's anything else you can say about it. Yes, the team is really struggling this year, but you look at his record, and I don't think you can fault that. He's been successful as a general manager every place he's been. Being president and general manager are two different things, too. Being president means you run the entire organization. You don't just look out for the baseball team. The Detroit Tigers are not just a baseball team. There's a lot of facets that go into it. Maybe he got tired of doing the business side of the baseball away from the game. The tickets and the advertising and all the other things that go on that, as the president, you are expected to oversee.
That is a tall order if you're a baseball man. But, he lasted 14 years. The weird part to me is...
Which is a lifetime in baseball.
Yeah, it's a good run, right?
It's a great run.
With 2 World Series appearances, last I counted, no victories, mind you, but there are a lot of teams that would love to be in that position.
Well, I kind of was saying a little while ago, I look at the Atlanta Braves, who won all the division titles but didn't win the World Series, and people kept saying, make a change, make a change. Well, look at the record the last 5 years, and maybe those division titles weren't all that bad.
Just ask the Michigan Wolverines how they feel about making a change.
Absolutely.
After Lloyd Carr, look what happened. They all wanted him out of there, and they went right down in the toilet. But why would, if you didn't have faith in him, why would you wait until after he's been able to make these blockbuster trades?
Well, evidently it was on, Al Avila said that and Al Avila's a good baseball man as well. I don't think he's got the overall experience running an entire operation that Dave does because his scouting background has kept him pretty much confined to that. But I also think that it's just an odd situation all the way around. You make the trades, and everybody's on the same page. Everybody sees the same direction for the club. That's one of the reasons I think that there might have been some type of an incident that sparked the overall to say, gee, maybe this isn't where I want to be long term. I think it might be as much Dave Dombrowski's decision is kind of what I'm looking into it. And it's all my opinion, so.
Tony Cuthbert disagrees.
Oh, no, I find the whole situation very curious because Dave Dombrowski, yesterday in Al Avila's press conference, he kept talking about how he was lockstep pretty much in every single decision that Dave Dombrowski made, agreeing with the trades, agreeing with all the moves and everything else. So if the Tigers really wanted to change, I just kind of find it curious that they find somebody in Al Avila that was exactly the same guy, basically, of Dave Dombrowski.
Well, I agree, and I think that they set the course of that's what they wanted to do. And Dave and Al, I have always been, well, you have your disagreements, as every boss and his right-hand guy do, but they said this is the way that we need to go. We all agree on that. And that's why I speculate there was another outside thing that intervened that just got underneath Dave's skin enough and the other person's skin enough to where they said this isn't going to work going forward. and going forward is the way that they got to look. So the talent and the move they made might be exactly what everybody agrees needs to be done, but there was some type of a conflict somewhere.
By the way, as I understand it, you're going to be hearing Avila as a pronunciation today.
It's all over the map with this last name because his son, who is a Tiger, mind you, his son's on the team. It's Alex Avila, and then it was Avila. So it's so confusing.
Well, we'll go with Avila if that's what they want. I did think that it was odd that there wasn't anybody higher in the organization at his press conference.
That's why I'm wondering, Larry, could there have been an issue with a trade one of these last few days that Dave Dombrowski did make where Mr. I maybe didn't sign off on it, and that's what caused this split? Is there a possibility of something like that?
Well, there's a possibility of just about anything, Tony, and I don't know that we'll ever really know, because Dave Dombrowski is one of the most loyal guys you'll ever find. He's not going to say anything about it. And unless it blows up, I don't think we'll hear much out of the Ilitch camp. We know how quiet they all are. The only thing that I do know for sure is that he's a terrific baseball guy that's going to find a really, really good landing spot for himself. And he's also a guy, I thought it was interesting to note that the notices from the charitable organizations around the city of Detroit and state of Michigan came flooding in for what he had done with the Tiger organization and he and his wife personally. So I thought that's worth noting too.
That's a very keen point, Larry. And Mr. Avila gets a 5-year deal apparently, so he's going to finish out his career in Detroit. Whether it lasts 5 years or not, we'll see.